I have one goal with this video, and it's to help you become so productive that even Ali Abdaal gets jealous. But how can I do that, you might ask? Well, I will show you the exact system that I've used to ace every single exam that I had, and the system that I still use today in medical school. After trying many different things for the past few years, I want to cut all the unnecessary stuff away and give you 3 strategies that you can use today to become more productive. Without wasting time, let's get straight into it. Pareto's Principle, or what some people call the 80-20 rule. In my first year of medical school, I was spending crazy amount of hours studying. Some days more than 10 hours. I had the idea that the more time I spent studying, the better grades that I would get. And of course I wanted higher grades. So what did I do? I studied for many hours. I was doing all kind of stuff. I was watching YouTube videos about the subject that I had. I was reading every single detail in the textbook and writing everything down. Looking back at it now, all of the things that I did was actually unnecessary. I could have got the same results with less work. And that's because the majority of the things that I was doing was actually not related to the exam at all. So even though I was feeling busy all the time and I was feeling productive, my study approach was not efficient at all. Because let's think about it. What does the word productivity even mean? It's a word that a lot of YouTubers like to use, a lot of people like to use, but what does it mean? In simple terms, it's the amount of input that goes in to get a certain desired output. In my first year of medical school, my input was way too high. I was focusing on the wrong things. That's why today I want to introduce you to the Pareto Principle. Pareto Principle says that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort. This means that out of everything that you do, there's actually only a couple of few things that will get you the majority of your result. And this idea shows up everywhere. It shows up in studying, it shows up in business, it even shows up in fitness. If you're working out, you can do 10 different exercises to hit the same muscle. You can take all kinds of supplements. You can have different kinds of recovery strategies. Even though all of that is super good and you will probably see results, it's actually way too much. By doing only a couple exercises of muscle, having a good diet and focusing on your sleep, you will see a lot of good results as well. And in the same way, this principle applies to studying as well. For example, my old study approach did not mean that I was getting bad grades. It just means that I was doing way too much to reach the grade that I could have gotten by focusing on the main important things. You're probably thinking, okay Hassan, you've made your point. How can I use Pareto's Principle? Well, spend time planning and prioritizing what you should be doing before actually making a long to-do list. Figure out what's important, make a plan for how you want to approach that task. It's something that doesn't have to take a lot of time. However, it's important so you can figure out where you should put your energy. Alright, so now you're locked in with the Pareto's Principle. You're focusing on that 20% that actually matter. You're cutting all the fluff away. Your productivity is up. If you want to approach your next study session with a huge amount of mental clarity, then you should try the Zeigarnik effect. Zeigarnik effect? What do you mean? What is even that? Well, let me explain. It sounds super fancy, I know. The simple idea of it is that your brain hates unfinished business. If you start something and you don't finish it, your brain will keep it on the to-do list. And you have probably experienced this before, especially if you have exams. So the real question here is, how can I use the Zeigarnik effect to help me study better and become more productive? Let's be real. The hardest part about studying is not actually studying. It's often just getting started. The moment where you stare at the textbook and suddenly you remember that you should check Instagram or look for something else to do. And that's where the Zeigarnik effect comes in. All you have to do is just get started with the intention of finishing that task. The second that you start committing to something specific, for example, doing chemistry, your brain starts to track progress and it does not want to think about it all the time. So your brain will help you finish the task. If you just get focused, getting started will help you finish your tasks. Alright, so now you've learned about these 2 strategies. These 2 strategies alone can level up your productivity level. But if you really want to build unstoppable momentum, let's take a look at the championship mentality. A championship mentality will not only help you become more productive, but it will help you build a system that works not only to pass exams, but to become a person who consistently crushes his goals. So what's the championship mentality? Most people stay busy without making meaningful progress. They follow generic advice and think that the more they do, the more they will actually achieve. And that's wrong. Champions think differently. They know that even if they lose a few short-term games, they will learn more about themselves in those games and will actually be able to use that knowledge to win the championship. And that's what you're gonna need to do as well. Take a break and analyze your study habits, analyze your working habits. And once you do that, you might not see progress right away and it might actually slow you down. But if you don't do that, you will actually be less productive in the long term, because doing this is necessary to build a system and a foundation that will help you win in the long term. Productivity is a funny thing because what works for others might not work for you. So by doing the necessary work and reflecting about what your goals are and refining your study habits and figuring out, okay, where am I spending most of my time? Is it actually gonna help me reach my goal? If it's not eliminated, you're gonna be able to reach your goals faster and in a more productive fashion, even though it feels slower at the beginning. So ask yourself next time that you're gonna study or try to do some work. Am I currently building systems that will help me in the future? Or am I just trying to survive today? And I get it. It's tempting to grind, especially if you're feeling behind. But champions play the long game. They know that victory is not in cramming everything in one night. It's in becoming the type of person who approaches every challenge with the right mindset and, most importantly, the right system. So here's your homework. This is what you have to do before your next study session. Use a timer and take 10 minutes of your time and try to think about what you're doing currently that's taking way more time than it should have. Try to think about how effective your study habits are. Ask yourself, is this actually working, or am I just keeping myself busy? Because the difference between being busy and being effective, that's where champions are made. If this video helped you see studying a different way, go ahead and subscribe, because next week's video is even going to be better.